At this point, I think we are more or less complete to start our presentation. So, starting from introductions, my name is Oleg Ishchuk. For those who don't know me yet, I am in charge of operations at SDC Verifier. And today I'm going to guide you through the main updates of SDC Verifier version 2025 R1, which is already available to both new customers of SDC Verifier and existing users. I am going to guide you through the transition and changes that are happening with this new version. So, without further ado, let's go into the action and start with the agenda. What are we going to discuss today? First and foremost, there is a new licensing model for every user of SDC Verifier since this version 2025. I will guide you through that, and that's going to be the main topic, I would say, of this specific presentation. But besides this, we are going to speak about the interfaces of our software in this session, specifically about SDC Verifier. Not all of you may know that SDC is available in 4 different configurations: SDC for VMAP, SDC for ANSYS, SDC for SimCenter, and SDC Verifier. Today I'll highlight some of the interfaces of that. Big thing for those heavy users of SDC who have to input multiple commands, we have introduced the keyboard shortcuts. We'll show that. Of course, we will guide you through the list of new standards and modifications in the standards that has been added to the library. Updates on the recognition tools. We have one fascinating update, which is going to continue further development, and I believe it's going to be a significant improvement for many of our users. Mass Tuner, which was always the outstanding extra tool to SDC Verifier, is now fully introduced into the interface of the software. I'll show that. We'll speak about which versions of the FEA software are currently supported within SDC, of course, and moreover, what's next. Especially at this point, if you are missing something in our software, please don't hesitate to reach out either to me or to our support and point out what you would like to see in our software next, because it's important and it gives us guidance for the next half a year of the development. And as I mentioned, Q&A in the end, so don't hesitate to type in your questions into the chat box or Q&A box. So without further hesitations, let's go to the main topic of this presentation. For me personally, it's a minor change for use of the software itself, but it's a significant change for us. We are switching the licensing model of SDC Verifier software. No modifications for you in terms of use of the software itself, but happy news, there is no more need in license files. There is no requirement to request a license, to send a license file, to search for a license file on your computer, because from now on, SDC Verifier, SDC for VMAP, for ANSYS, for SimCenter 3D is going to migrate to the new server and to new account-based login. What does this mean for you? It means that now you won't need to select a license file. Somewhere you will need to fill in the login, which is your email address, and password, which you will be asked to create during the registration. And you can use SDC products from any computer with just login in. Of course, limited to the amount of licenses assigned to your company, but there is a big flexibility in terms of where and how you're able to use SDC Verifier. Secondly, you can clearly see who of your colleagues is currently using the software. I'll showcase that in a second. And probably the biggest benefit is that you fill this in one, tick in the Remember Me button, press login, and SDC logs automatically. It remembers you for a certain period, 30 or 60 days, when it will ask you to re-log in. But there is, licensing and logging into SDC Verifier has never been easier. That's for the existing users, but for new users, it also comes with a host of benefits. First and foremost, it means that there will be no need to request a license and wait for the representative of SDC to manually generate this license file. You have a straightforward process on our website. You download the software, you log in, you register, you confirm your email address, register your credentials, and you're ready to go for 14 days for free. This is important because this distinguishes the difference between trial users and existing users of SDC Verifier. If you're looking to try SDC, just jump into our website. It's already updated. Fill in the form, press download. You will get the email with your credentials, and you're ready to go. For all of the existing users, I am asking you, please don't rush into this trial licenses section because you will only get a license for 14 days. In the coming days, we are going to send to all of the existing users the invitation with the credentials to create an account and to use your license. Of course, there will be a transition period. It does not require you to change and migrate right now, even though I strongly advise so because new SDC comes with a bunch of exciting features, but you will have a transition period for at least half a year till the next version of 2025 R2. You will be able to use the old server and new server in parallel. More on this. How is this going to look now? Now, you are going to have a cabinet on my.sdcverifier.com where you will be able to see all the information about your account and your licenses. First and foremost, you will see which products and levels and dates for time-limited licenses are allocated for your company. You will be able to see all of those products, and most importantly, this is now your portal to download the newest versions. There will be an archive with previous releases, but this is a main place for existing customers to go to mysdcverifier.com, products to download, and pick the product you want to download. There is no need to send us an email asking for a new version or a previous version or searching for that anywhere. Everything is in your personal cabinet right now. Moreover, this comes with a bunch of information about your company and how it uses the software. So you will be able to see, in this case, you have an example for our company, and of course, everybody would be able to see only their own information. You will be able to see the information about the company, which licenses are assigned to the company and who of the users is having which licenses, and visually represented the table of users who are currently using a specific product. In this case, I just sorted out everybody who's having an active license. So for example, we see that Andriy is having this green dot next to his name, which means he's currently using SDC. We can see what is currently in use, SDC for FEMAP. So if you have a limited amount of licenses, no problem, you can log in into this portal at any time without a need to log in the software. So basically, you're launching the software, you see not enough licenses, you go to this portal, see, 10 people are already using the software. I can reach out to the team chat or just to my colleague who I would like to ask to free up the license and ask him to log off so I am able to continue. We have recorded a video which very clearly explains all the safety measures, all the instructions, all the explanation what this new licensing brings for you. It will be sent to you together with the recording of this webinar. You can also find it right now on our YouTube. So feel free to go to YouTube channel of SDC Verifier to see a full list of benefits from this brand new licensing module. And to those existing customers, again, please don't rush to our website because you are only going to get a trial for 14 days. We are going to migrate you in the coming 2 days to the new server, and you are still able to use your licenses in parallel with the previous server and the new one for the transition period. Okay, enough about the organizational stuff, even though I'll focus on that a bit in the end. As again, I want to highlight the interfaces of the software and to show some of the tools, some of the features, and some of the methodics of using SDC, because we know that every engineer uses our software differently and different levels of our software. So as you know, SDC is available as an extension to ANSYS, as an extension to VMAP, as an extension to SimCenter 3D, but also in the independent interface, which has a graphical representation of the model, graphical user interface, which has a solver built in and which is all-in-one product for those who don't use classic FEA products yet or anymore. So with this video, I would like to demonstrate how to operate with the geometry within the graphical interface of SDC Verifier. In this case, we are selecting the curve, the circular curve, and we are defining that by a central point and the radius. We're clicking in the center of this intersection, and we are imprinting the line, or we are building the line in the work plane. What we want to do next is to modify that. There is plenty of options for this. For example, we can project the curves onto surface. What is now done is we selected the surfaces where we want to imprint our line, and we can easily exclude two of them. So just selecting a line now, and it's imprinted on those two surfaces on top, which means we can now delete this cutouts to avoid stress concentration and have a nice cutout model there. Extrude option allows you to extrude a certain lines, in this case, along the vector. So we're selecting the lines, we're selecting the direction from the tip and the distance, and you can see that those lines have created the extruded surfaces. It is, of course, possible to copy those surfaces. We select one of them, and as you can see, it's copied to another site. Many more modification options. For example, you can reflect. So you select the surface, select the plane, the reflection plane, and it's reflected to the other side of the geometry. Previous command, we're picking up all of those surfaces that we have just generated. Here you can nicely highlight all of them and reflect again in YZ plane over the central point. So we extend it to the side. So these are a couple of the features. There is also a possibility to add more, to merge all of the surfaces into a certain solid, to assign mesh attributes, to prepare this model for meshing. So either when you're importing the geometry or building the geometry from scratch, SDC Verifier has a lot of functionality for playing around with your geometry file. Of course, there is plenty of other options. This is just something that I wanted to highlight, how quickly and easily it is possible to operate with the geometry and create more of the items or improve your geometry. There is also mid-surfacing capability, which is completely automatic. What you basically do, you import step file and automatically define the mid planes, which remembers the mesh thickness, the solid thickness, to assign that to the mesh attributes to be able to represent that when meshing. So when we do meshing, same, it's fairly easy. Let's imagine we have, well, no need to imagine, there is a model of a tanker, which we need to quickly mesh with obviously a coarse mesh quality. But if you have to do that, it's just done in a couple of clicks. You go to the Mesh tab of SDC, select geometry and surface. We're going to assign the mesh and surface, and we just select everything, select all. If it has correct mesh attributes, you can pick the option to mesh it with attributes, or you just define the property of thickness which you want to mesh. As you can see, it was sped up a bit, that video, but in total it took no longer than, I don't know, 50 seconds to mesh this complete geometry with 75,000 finite elements and 100,000 nodes in a matter of couple of clicks. Of course, there is a lot of post-processing on top. Of course, there is a lot of functionality to modify the mesh, especially within our meshing toolbox. But this is your quick way to process the geometry. Then you run the analysis, and you're ready to preview the result. All the rest of the functionality of SDC Verifier within this interface is exactly the same as with SDC for VMap, SDC for ANSYS, SDC for SimCenter. The load of benefit comes to those who don't use classic FEAs right now, because you have a graphical interface with the model, you have SimCenter Nastran solver, and you have extra tabs on geometry and meshing to do all of the model preparation steps. To operate with bunch of that functions, it required users to click through the interface, to click through the options of creating, modifying, adding, or deleting elements or geometry items. Therefore, it was long asked to include keyboard shortcuts. And from the version 2025 R1, we are introducing the Shortcuts Manager, which has certain group of predefined shortcuts, like to start new project, to open recent project, to save the model, etc., as well as commands for all of the functions of SDC Verifier, which are either assigned by default, or you can assign your own comments. Moreover, you can export the file with your comments to keep it unique. That's what we do in SDC. We keep this file of comments exactly the same for everybody within the company. So all of the engineers at SDC Verifier, they know the keyboard shortcuts, hotkeys, and they are the same at every computer. And that helps us significantly to speed up our modeling processes. Somebody is probably going to ask here about Ctrl-Z function. It is operating on the geometry items. It is operating on certain input files, but there are steps where you cannot go back. So after you, for example, I don't know, run analysis or done something really complex, the only way to go back is to recreate what you just changed. So please try to use these shortcuts, try to use the basic ones, add your own. Let us know if how that works for you and what functions do you put on the keyboard shortcuts. Next part of this webinar and next part of this introduction to the new version of SDC Verifier is an explanation of what is new in terms of the standards within our software. There is a bunch of new standards, and I would like to start with the one I am specifically most proud about, because it's a new version of DNV RPC 203 fatigue, which is probably one of the most commonly used standards within our software, and this is definitely crucial for our users in the offshore steel structures design industry. And our team have noticed that the standard was officially published in probably November last year. We have had some conversations with the team, and we have known that the new update is coming. So it was updated just in November last year. And since then, within a couple of weeks, we have reviewed the document. We have reviewed the differences between the previous version and the new version and implemented the update to DNV RPC 203 within the interface of SDC Verifier and within the library of our software. critical or most significant update here would be the possibility, would be the SN curves, because this is one of our internal documents, but I am allowed to share this publicly. The important and critical update that was introduced was the change to SN curves for C1, C2, and C1, C2, B1, and probably B2. I don't see it at the moment. B1 and B2. Yeah, we have had an updated of M factor for all of those SN curves. So you can see the modified curves at the bottom and modified SN curve table at the bottom, which is already implemented in the software. There is also a bunch of minor changes and modifications to the standard, but primarily new DNV RPC203 is changing the way how the SN curves are allocated and assigned, and that's already available in the library of SDC Verifier. More importantly, we are preparing, that's already done, I'm not sure if that's already published on our website, we are preparing a benchmark on comparison of DNV RPC203 of previous versions with the most recent standard. So you can see the example model, you can see the results, the input of the calculation and resulting value for two different standards, and see which one is more conservative. So please reach out to benchmarks on our website to see the updates and the differences between the versions of DNV standards. Moving on with the new codes in SDC, we have introduced something completely new from the class society, which was not represented in public library of SDC Verifier standard. It is Lloyd's register, and this is a common structural rules for bulk carriers and oil tankers for plate buckling. So this is also a document of 2024. It was released, it was in January of 2024, and it has a pretty straightforward interface to SDC, as for SDC plate buckling standards. So you have a possibility to define the assessment method, the sickness factor, which is basically multiplies your sickness, all of the sicknesses in the selection portion of the selected portion of the model that's going to be verified with the certain value. And there is, of course, two options to analyze the check, either to use plate average stress or not use the plate average stress, which means the way how results are going to be calculated and how the results are going to be displayed on the check. And if you're not using the plate average stress, you can use the stress on element, which is then again either averaged, or you taking the maximum mid-plane stress, which is the maximum compressive stress in each and every element. It's up to a user to select how you are defining the parameters for the input. And as always, everywhere you're able to input the selection. So if you're validating a big model of an oil tanker, which I can imagine is the often case, it consists of multiple different sections and millions of finite elements, which might be time consuming. I've recently seen that on one of our users' workflow, that they are just creating separate standards for the separate selections. And it is possible to create a standard for the frames only, decks only, longitudinals only, run those checks separately, nicely format them to be shown in the report, and save calculation time and focus only on what is interesting for you at the given time. Next standard that I would like to emphasize, and that I'm happy to share that it's already added to the library of SDC Verifier, is International Association of Classification Societies, and this is also a plate buckling rules. This is called IACS Unified Requirements S35, and this standard is very similar to what Lloyd's Register does. There is differences in the assessment method, there is differences in the formulas and variables of the formulas themselves, but results are very close to each other. And yeah, the window of the dialog window of creating this standard is slightly simpler with fewer coefficients, but basically the functionality is the same. There is only a few parameters that you have to define, and even if you don't want to define those, you can always load them from defaults. So this little green button, which is on the bottom left corner of all of SDC Verifier standards, is bringing an option to define the default values for all of the standards. If you have the codes which are having a lot of input info you're not sure about, you can always load defaults, but be careful with that because this is basically just factor of one everywhere. If you want for your company to use the standard input for different standards all the time and be sure that your colleagues are using the correct values, you predefine them once in the settings and then ask the users to always use this default values for the standards. This brings us to the next update. And next update is related to the recognition tool. I've been asked for a long time, Oleg, can we detect the beam members from shell elements? For the moment, the answer is still no. It is still a very tricky question which beam elements to treat, which plate or shell elements to treat as a single beam member and how to orient that in the 3D space. But we have made a significant step in progressing towards that, and we are able to detect the stiffeners that are modeled as shells or plate elements in your FEA model. So this is still the method that I do not encourage because changing the cross section is significantly harder for this model. If you decide to go from L shape to a T shape or something, it will take you a fair bit of extra modeling. If you would have that as beams, you just change cross section. But many of users have legacy models done like this, or models coming from some CAD software where they have stiffeners modeled as plate elements. And for now, the software is capable of detecting those stiffeners. The goal for now is to include the force summation of the line of the stiffeners into the buckling checks and into the stiffener checks. And then next iteration and next step of this recognition would be to find a way to determine the beam members which are modeled with shell elements. And this is our global planning. This is in our global planning, and this is something that we are currently having our R&D department actively working on, but I cannot give you any timelines for this right now because it's really tricky to know what should be allocated to a specific member and which part of shell elements is not the part of that beam member. Now, big update to those who use the mid-side nodes in their FEA models. So if you're building a shell model with the second order elements and you have those extra nodes in between of the corner nodes, it's I believe in most of the FEA software it is called the mid-side nodes. In the previous versions of SDC Verifier, we were not taking into account the force results from mid-side nodes on the weld summation tool and therefore in the weld finder and therefore in the weld strength checks. From this version and onwards, we are now reading the force balance and GP force results from every mid-side node along the weld line, and we are able to include them in the weld summation tool. Therefore, we are able to include them in the weld strength checks, and you're able to get more precise results on the models with mid-side nodes if you're doing the weld strength checks. This is pretty straightforward. This does not require you to do anything extra. Just if your model is with mid-side nodes, we are taking that into account, and we are including that in the calculation of well strengths. Moving on, Mass Tuner. Mass Tuner was always an extension downloaded separately from SDC Verifier website, and it was not included in all of the product. Now it is. It is in the main build of the software release, and this is a very convenient tool to tailor the weight, the mass, or the density of your model without going to the FEA model itself, to material properties itself, and modifying those properties within the FEA software. So in this example, you only see one material, you only see this steel here, but usually in your model, you would have a lot of them, either for different components or for actually different materials. What many engineering companies are doing, they are defining certain structural parts or structural groups of elements as different materials, just for the ease of modeling, just for the ease of modification and displaying of the parts of the FEA model. This table in its default state shows you the current mass of the model with its current density, but moreover, it allows to define either new mass or new density. There's obviously no need to write both of them. So for example, we see that this part of steel is currently having the weight of 4.8 tons, but we know that there are some non-structural items that are not included in the model, and in reality, the weight of our model is higher, is let's say 6 tons. So what we need to do is just to type in the value of 6,000 in this new mass item, and click OK, click apply. So it will be automatically distributed by changing the density of the material to reach this target mass. It's possible to do that in the inverted way, which means it's possible to include the new density if you have a higher grade material or so. This might look like a minor tool, but this is a huge step in the effectiveness of our own engineers, where we are able to easily include the non-structural parts of the model into the FEA analysis and take them into account in the verification itself. Moving forward with our slides, it's time to highlight which versions of FEA products new SDC Verifier is compatible with. So obviously, not only us are developing the newer version of the software, major FEA players and major FEA products have been updated over the winter, as always. And with this version, SDC is compatible with ANSYS 2025 R1, with FEMAP 2412, and with SimCenter 3D 2412. This does not mean that SDC Verifier is compatible only with these versions. Obviously, we do support ANSYS since version 18.2. If I am completely correct, I believe for FEMAP, our journey goes like 15 years long, and we are still supporting the very old versions of FEMAP. I believe something like version 10.3. It's probably the first one I was working on with SDC Verifier, and it is still supported. And with SimCenter 3D, it is similar. It is going 10 years prior. So any of the old version of the major FEA software you're still using, SDC Verifier 2025 R1, is going to be compatible with. Next item is our online help. Our online help has been updated, of course, and it is now splitted into chapters where you could see help per product, and per version. I didn't update my screenshot, but you're able to see the help of SDC Verifier per product and per version. And you're not only, so you can reach this out through our website, of course, but most importantly is the fact that you can press F1 on any window within the interface of SDC Verifier, and you will be automatically redirected to the tab with that specific help topic. So if you are struggling with lack of information about anything within SDC Verifier, just press F1 and you will be redirected to the dedicated page. More than this, there is also a search now, so you are able to type in the keywords of the functions or the features or the tools that you're looking for, and SDC will automatically, well, yeah, it will search for the dedicated topics. Be aware that it will find everything what includes that, so try to make your search requests as precise as possible. Next item in the what's new list in SDC 2025 R1 is also something I'm very proud to share. We are implementing from this version onwards the product excellence program. What this would mean from you, pretty much nothing changes for you, but on the first launch of the software, you will get asked, do you want or not to participate in this program, and the program will help us to build a better product for you by understanding what is actually the most required and used functionality within SDC Verifier. So SDC is not tracking any of your model data, results data, private info, etc. But if you select yes on this program, the server is going to receive the information about the function of the software and the frequency of use of those functions. So our software developers would be able to see what is most important, what is most critical, what is most used in SDC, and pay more attention to that. And on the other hand, to see what's not used at all and make decisions. Does it need to improve? Does it need to update, or does it need to go away because it's not used anymore? So none of your data, all of your model data is secure. None of your personal info is shared. So please participate in this program, so it will help us to deliver a better solution in the future. This can always be changed in the settings, so you can go to preferences here on top of the screen and turn it on or turn it off, as well as you can see a detailed info on the privacy, what is collected in the end user license agreement and in the terms of use. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and I will help, gladly help and update you about this program. And lastly, I would like to speak about what is coming next in terms of standards. I believe at the moment we have about 50 different rules and regulations in the library of the software. And there is an intermediate update coming as soon as end of April, probably beginning of May. In your inboxes, you will have the intermediate step, which brings even more standards, and there is significant ones. There are BS 7608 fatigue, which is a British standard on fatigue, very commonly used not only in the UK but worldwide, and commonly used for the fatigue of different steel structures. So this is a significant extension and improvement for our users in the UK and worldwide who are doing fatigue checks. And we are continuing to expand our DNV database, DNV OS C01. In the past, all of D and WFSD method of DNV C101 were called C101 and C101, sorry, C101 and C201. From now on, DNV has merged that two codes under the one number, under two sections, LRFD separately, WSD separately. This update is also coming in, again, end of April, beginning of May. And very big update for us and for the logic of our standards is DNV ST0126, predominantly because it doesn't have its own rules on verification. It's referring to other standards, and it includes other standards for specific failure modes. So there will be a new type of standard dialog window in SDC Verifier where user will be able to pick all of the codes to comply with DNV ST0126. And then our goal for 2025 R2 is to include FKM version 7, is to include Eurocode 9 and expand in our aluminum structures, add more fatigue, Australian standard fatigue, under fatigue, to add more of the open formulas to our joint checks, ISO, API, NORSOC, move on with DNV recommended practices C201, and extend to a newer version of API RP2A. So these are the updates on the codes. Next thing I would like to, of course, remind you, please, if you are an existing customer of SDC Verifier, wait until you will receive the email notification with migration to a new server. If you are new to SDC Verifier, you're free to go to our website right now, submit your form, download the software, and be ready to use that with no obligations, 14 days free for everyone. And if you are, again, existing user looking for download, don't go to the typical place where our download link was, because there is now only a trial process. All of the existing users will be migrated through going to their own cabinets and downloading the product, selected product from the list in their cabinets. We are extensively upgrading our training program. We are currently conducting multiple trainings every month, both for new users, but also for the existing users. We still see that a lot of users of SDC Verifier software are using specific tools and specific standards, which were predefined in the past, but not quickly adopting new standards, not quickly adopting new tools and new technologies. We have customers who are with us for more than 10 years, and there's been a lot of new tools since then, and not all of them are aware. So training is the best way to expand your knowledge, to get the answers to your problems, and to get the answers to your FEA tasks and code checking tasks. Trainings are available both live in our office, one of our offices, or at your location, or online. I certainly recommend going for a live training because the presence helps the cooperation, collaboration, and active engagement between the trainer and the trainees. But nowadays everybody's working remotely, or many people are working remotely, and it's hard to get everybody in the same place. So online is of course possible. Now to the bringing us to the Q&A box. Last thing before the Q&As, I would like to ask you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I am constantly posting an update on SDC Verifier software. I'm constantly sharing new information about the software, and I would gladly discuss anything with you on LinkedIn. So please reach out if you're not connected with me yet. Let's connect and let's talk. I'm always happy to discuss anything FEA related, engineering related, and beyond that. And if you're having any questions about SDC, please reach out to our support, either through email address or, Skype is discontinued since this month, I believe. So there is no more Skype help desk. And our support phone numbers has also changed. So please pick the This will lead you directly to myself, but also you are able to find the most recent phone number on SDC Verifier website. So all the contact details and all the links to our social media are there. Now I would be happy to answer the questions if there are any in the chat box. I see one of the question about the online mode for the licensing. So the question is, if you suddenly lose the internet connection, is SDC Verifier still going to work? Answer is yes. It will give you a notification that connection is lost, but the software will continue working offline. It is possible to work in the, if it's a sudden interruption, it will work for more than an hour. If it is a longer period that you need to use the software offline, for example, you need to go on site for the location where there is no internet, the borrow functionality is still operating. And borrow functionality is up to 15 days. You can borrow the license, work offline, and with no need of constant internet connection. Second question is about the data protection. Yeah, of course, you can read everything on our website and see the privacy policy, but we are not collecting any information. We are not saving your model. We are not collecting any information about how you reach out to your results and what are your results and what are your designs. This is something I would like to avoid knowing. I have plenty of information in my head, and I have no requirements to know what you're doing with what you're designing with SDC Verifier. Unless you need help from us, then we of course can cooperate and collaborate. I still see some questions here. There is a question about implementation of the method to detect the weldings at the corners of the hollow section. I think it is there, Andrea. I am not completely sure, but if you would go to so SDC Verifier help, if there is definitely a possibility to set exceptions in SDC Verifier. So if you go to the software, let's say doesn't matter for ANSYS, and we go to Weld Finder, and the Weld Finder settings, there is an option to treat as weld if different property IDs, treat elements of the same property as weld if angle. So this is what we have. If you have the elements of the same property and they are defined, they are having an angle which is more than 45 degrees, they should not be treated as weld. I don't know if that solves your problem. If you said that you already referred this to Roman, he's probably taking a look on this. But if it's a hollow section and it's modeled with the same property, it should not be detected as the same weld. If it's, I'm going to personally take a look in this and check it for you. Me or Roman will get back to you. Thank you for this comment. Okay. Thanks. That's it. I don't have any more questions in Q&A, which means that everything is clear. Once again, here are our contact details. Feel free to reach out. If you're a new user, feel free to go to sdcverifier.com to download the new software. If you are existing user of SDC Verifier, you are going to receive an email in the coming 2 days with the link to upgrade to the newer version and to create your brand new shiny account, which doesn't need license files anymore. Moreover, new server allows us to remotely update the version and extend the licenses, so there is no need for new license files ever in the future. And for me personally, this is a very, very happy day. I believe for you it is going to be very helpful and nice and convenient interface as well. Thank you very much for your time. And good luck with your projects with SDC Verifier. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We're happy to help. Thanks a lot and goodbye.